Today we're going to talk about fractions, decimals, and percents. We're going to learn how to convert fractions to decimals and decimals to percents. When thinking about fractions, decimals, percents, or FDP, think about money. For example, a dollar is 1 whole, so the fraction of that is 1 over 1, which is also 100% because you have 100% of a dollar. A half of a dollar is 50 cents, which is written as 50 hundredths. As a fraction, that is 50 cents of a dollar, which reduces to 1/2 of a dollar. If you have 50 cents of a dollar, you have 50% of a dollar. A quarter is 25 cents, which is 25 cents out of $1, or 25 out of 100. You have 1/4 out of 4 quarters that make a total of $1. If you have 1/4, you have 25%. For a dime, that's 10 cents, or 10 hundredths. 10 cents out of a dollar, or 10 out of 100. If you have 10 cents, you can simplify that to 1 over 10 because you have 1 dime, and 10 dimes make a dollar. If you have 10 cents, you have 10% of a dollar. For a nickel, that's 5 cents. Please make sure you write 0.05. That's 5/100ths because you have 5 cents out of a dollar. 5 over 100. You have 1 nickel, and it takes 20 nickels to make a dollar. So when you reduce 5 over 100, you get 1/20ths. A nickel is 5% of a dollar. A penny is written as 1/100th because you have 1 cent over a dollar, so it's 1 over 100, and that's as simplified as it can go. 1 cent is 1% of a dollar. Turning to the next page, let's talk about converting fractions to decimals. If necessary, turn mixed numbers into improper fractions. Use the magic C. For example, 4 times 2 plus 1. That's the magic C. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Keep the denominator. Step 2, use long division to divide the numerator by the denominator. Let's practice. 1 3/4. Using the magic C, I'm going to multiply 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So 1 times 4 plus 3. Keep your denominator. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7. On number 2, 8 times 3 plus 2. 8 times 3 plus 2. Keep your denominator. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 2 is 26. over your same denominator of 8. Now let's practice converting fractions to decimals. Remember, you want to use long division to divide the numerator by the denominator. And top dog always goes in the house, or your numerator. Don't forget to also give your dog a food bowl and a water bowl. Carry your decimal up top. 5 goes into 1 0 times. 5 goes into 10 twice. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract, you have a 0 remainder. So your answer is 2/10, 0.2. Rewrite your answer so you can see 1/5 is equal to 2/10. Circle it. On number 4, let's try this. Divide the numerator by the denominator. Remember, your top dog goes in the house. You have a food bowl and a water bowl. Carry your decimal up top. 20 goes into 3 0 times. However, 20 goes into 30 1 time. 1 times 20 is 20. Subtract. 30 minus 20 is 10. Bring down your 0. 20 goes into 100 5 times. 5 times 20 is 100. You get 0 remaining. So your answer, 3/20 is equal to 15/100 as a decimal. Number 5, you want to use long division. Okay, and you want to worry about your negative sign for your answer. In other words, let's go ahead and long divide. Top dog goes in the house with your food bowl and water bowl. Bring the decimal up top. 8 goes into 5 0 times. 8 goes into 50 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. Bring down your 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Remember, when you're finding these numbers, you want to find something as close to 20, but do not pass it. So it should be 20 or lower, as close as you can get it. 20 minus 16 is 4. Bring down another 0. You can have as many zeros as you want. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40. Subtract, you get a 0 remainder. For your final answer, -5/8 is equal to -0.625, or -625 thousandths. Looking at number 6, you have a whole number here. So you want to use the magic C, and you get 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15 over 2. You need to convert it to an improper fraction before you long divide. Remember, top dog goes in the house along with the decimal and 2 zeros. 2 goes into 15 7 times, because 2 times 7 is 14. Subtract, 15 minus 14 is 1. Bring down your 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, you get a 0 remainder. So when you write your answer, 7 1/2 equals 7 5/10. Pause the video and try 7 and 8. Check check number 7 with the answer given below. Look at number 8. When you see 3/4, you need to think of money. For example, 1/4 you know is 25 cents or 0.25. If you have 3/4 out of 4, you have 75 cents. So right now you have $3.75, and you have your negative sign that needs to go out front. So that's your answer for number 8. However, you can long divide. You can long divide just 3/4 and say 4 goes into 3 0 times, 4 goes into 30 7 times to give you 28, subtract, get 2, bring down the 0, 4 goes into 20 5 times. So 3/4 is equivalent to 0.75. Make sure you tack on your whole number and your negative sign. Let's practice comparing. Anytime you compare anything, right here it says it in big bold letters, remember to change everything to decimals. 3/10, that's in decimal form. 1/4, that's the same thing as 25/100. Now you can compare. If it helps, stack your decimals and make them the same length. For example, you only have 0.3. You can add a 0 on the end so it's the same length as 0.25. Now you can see 30/100 is greater than 25/100. Number 10 has a repeating decimal. The reason you know that is because it has this line right here. That means your 5 is going to keep going and never stop. 1/5 as a decimal is going to be 2/10. Again, stack them so you can see, so you can compare. Add zeros on the end if you need to make them the same length. 2/10 is less than 5/10 repeating. Look at number 11. They both have negatives, so make sure you pay attention to that when you go to compare them. Pause the video, try number 11. On number 11, when you long divided -7/9, you would have gotten a 7/10 repeating, meaning your 7, you will never have an ending decimal. So now when you compare them, -75/100 compared to -7/10 repeating, -75/100 is greater than -7/9. Turn the page and let's look at converting decimals to percents. Find the decimal point is your first step. If it is not there, such as your example over here, you have just 9, your decimal point is always located at the end of the number. Step 2, move the decimal 2 places to the right. Hint, moving the decimal is the same as multiplying by 100. When dealing with repeating percents, your decimal will also be repeating. For example, if you have 9 as your decimal, in order to make this a percent, you need to move it 2 places to the right. 1, 2. Fill in any empty loops with zeros. 9 is equal to 900%. 13 5/10 is equal to 1,350%. Let's try a couple problems. 2/10. I'm going to move my decimal 2 places to the right, fill in any empty loops with a 0 to get 20%. Always rewrite your answer. Number 2, move your decimal 2 places to the right to give you 428.28. Okay, so 428 and 28/100%. You are writing percents, so you need the percent sign. 75/100 repeating. Just to show you, this means that the 7 and the 5 are repeating. So when I move this decimal 2 places to the right, I get 75 and 75/100 repeating percent. You cannot stop and say 75%. You have to have this decimal at the back. Pause the video and try 4 through 9. Check your answers with the ones written below. Choose the greatest number in each set. Remember to change everything to decimals when you compare or order. Let's try number 10. 2/5. I could also write an equivalent fraction and multiply both the top and the bottom by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. 4/10 is the same as 0.4. 45/100, 35/100, and 3 out of 8. You will need to long divide. Remember, top dog goes in the house. 8 goes into 3 0 times. 8 goes into 30 3 times. That gives you 24. 30 minus 24 is 6. Bring down your 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. Subtract, you get 4. Bring down your 0. Remember, you can bring down as many zeros as you want. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract, you get a 0 remainder. 3/8 is equivalent to 0.375. The greatest number is going to be 45/100. If you struggle to see that, stack the decimals. For example, so you have 0.4 or 4/10, 45/100, 35/100, and 375,000. Add zeros so they're all the same length. The greatest number is going to be one of these two because they both start with a 4. The next one they're comparing is a 0 and a 5. 5 is larger, so 45/100 is your largest number. Pause the video and try 11, 12, 13, and 14. Check your answers with the following problems.